Good morning, beautiful people. I'm back. This is going to be a good one. So pull up your coffee, have an early lunch break, and join me. It's going to be a quickie, but it's going to be a good one. I am back with Chatting with Di, where I interview people that teach me, inspire me, and make me laugh. This gentleman does all three, but I don't want to waste time because he's going to be on in 5 minutes. So I want to do my little intro. For anyone who's been living under a rock, I am about to interview Danny Meyer. For anyone who loves food, when you hear the name Danny Meyer, you pay attention. You pay attention to what he has to say, what gems he may want to share with you, and where he wants you to eat. At the young age of 27, I have cheat sheet. I have to. At the young age of 27, he opened up his first restaurant, 27 people, called Union Square Cafe. And now, 30 years later, he is still the amazing Danny Meyer and much more. He is the founder and executive chairman of the Union Square Hospitality Group. He is also the founder of Shake Shack for all you burger fans, burger and shake. In addition, Union Square Hospitality Group has 12 trusted brands, and he's so much more. He's a father, he's a husband, he's a mentor, he's an author. Hello, production team didn't have my book ready. If you haven't read this book, trust me, read it. Kind of a Bible. He's a humanitarian involved with Share Our Strength. In 2017, he was awarded the Julia Child Award. He was named 2015 Time Magazine Most Influential People list. And he and his team, going a team with Danny, have won over 28 James Beard Awards. And so much more. Full disclosure. He's he's my former boss. Yep, I worked with him way back in the dark ages at Union Square Cafe with Chef Michael Romano, and it was short but brilliant. But the most important accolade is his superpower, which is he knows how to make people feel good. And that's not always a given. He is just seamless at finding the way to make people feel welcome and invited and at home. And I know from my time at Union Square Cafe, that was something that he trained his team diligently. He wanted people to know when they walked in, he knew about the book that they had written, and he had it right there at the front desk with the maitre d' ready for an autograph. He knew your favorite wine. He knew your anniversary. He knew people in the dining room at Union Square Cafe and other restaurants that knew each other, and he had them seated near each other. I'm sure he knew the people that broke up that shouldn't be near together. But anyway, he will be coming on shortly. We can just count down the minutes. In the meantime, get ready, pull up your coffee, have an early lunch break. This is going to be really fun, and for me, it's definitely a full circle moment because I worked for him many moons ago, but I still consider him a mentor and a teacher and someone that I highly respect and admire. And on top of that, he's really kind. I don't know about you, but I think we all need a lot more kind in the world. So I think he should be coming on shortly. So for my 9 million followers, if you have any questions, you can get them ready. But we got this is a short, compact interview. So if I have time for your questions, I will bring them on, but I might not. And I think he'll be on in 2 minutes. So what else can I say? I can talk about the book. All right? So why is this book, The Transforming Power of Hospitality in Business? Why is this gem, which was written, I should know, but it was written a little while ago. I bought it right when it came out. I don't want to look into it right now. 1929. No, it was written a little while ago. I should know. But the value of this book can be transformed through any kind of business. And if you just look at the content of the 51% solution, the virtuous cycle of enlightened hospitality, the art of hospitality, I mean, all of these incredible qualities can be translated and transformed, even though that's not the right word, can be shifted over to any business. The power of setting the table is not only about a fabulous dining room table, but it's also the intention behind it. And I think sometimes, let me see if I can invite him. Hold on, people. Hold on. Yep. They're on vacation, so I'm all alone, hair and makeup and everything. But he should be coming on shortly. But in the meantime, and voila. Okay, so, Danny, now I need you. You waved at me, so we're doing good. Oh my God, you did it. Yeah. Et voila. 1, 2, 3, et voila. Danny Meyer. Et voila. Et voila. Go live with Danny Meyer, et voila. And here he is. Here he is. I love Instagram. And here he is. I know you're coming. Go live with Danny Meyer. We're going to do this, Danny. It's because Danny Meyer is unable to join. It's okay. We're going to do this. Go live with Danny Meyer. Just hold on, people. Just chat. Tell me where you're calling in from. While we get Danny on live, he will come on. I have full face. He waved at me. And he will come on. In the meantime, just put in the chat where you are coming in from. Go live with Danny Meyer. Go live with Danny Meyer. It's going to work. Just hang in there. Anyway, while we're waiting for Danny to come on, tell me your favorite restaurant in New York. Or tell me your favorite restaurant in Toronto. Or from the lovely Her Wild, tell me your favorite restaurant wherever you're from. Tell me where you are checking in from. And while we have a little bit of technical difficulty, we will chat about our favorite restaurants. And we will have faith that Danny will come up. Yeah, I told you we'd do it. We did it. It doesn't matter.
I think that was Danny proof.
No, I think you get a gold medal. You get a gold medal. Anyway, everyone, welcome Danny Meyer, the phenomenal Danny Meyer. I've already given the intro, so we're going to get right to the questions. And I think what I love is when I prepared for this, I listened to a variety of podcasts that you've been on, from Tony Robbins to Tim Ferriss. Many people have wanted to interview you. And I loved looking at where it began, where it is, and where it might go. So, reflections of the past, present, and future. And we can all say a little prayer that my puppy will be quiet. So question number 1, how it started. You grew up with similar threads to me, having an opportunity at a young age to be in a foreign country and learn about food, travel, and barking puppies through your dad and his career. At 7 years old, your first trip was to France, and your mom told you to keep a diary at 7. And you began seeing food as discovery, love, and an adventure. At 12 years old, again traveling, you went to Italy. Your dad had hotels, and you were lucky to land in Rome. eating a tasting meal of 8 pastas at 12 years old. I don't know how many 12-year-old boys in New York could have that adventure.
Except I was in St. Louis.
Oh, you weren't in Rome?
I didn't move to New York till way, way later. I was a
Oh, you
St.
were
Louis
St.
guy.
Louis. Yeah, you were St. Louis. But
Yeah.
I'm just talking about
Yeah.
like New York boys that I know and the New York. And at 20 years old, you had a summer job, which I love, as a tour guide, taking people to travel spots, but you added your own spin, which I love. Rome by night tours. And you took people that, your people that you had to take to the best dining spots in Rome. You were a young entrepreneur at 20, and you made 1,000 lira for every person you brought in, which I just think is brilliant, and you probably got a great dinner every night. So you learned the values of the smells of food at a young age. Tell us, Danny Meyer, the impact that had on the young Danny Meyer, and how being in Rome felt like home. And what was your first favorite dish there, or meal, or ingredient that you still remember? Et voila, number one.
All right. Well, you made it easy. You answered all the questions with your question. Look, Rome to me is still the city that I could go back to at least once a year, every year for the rest of my life, probably more than once a year. And I do remember the smells. I remember you walk by somebody's home, that beautiful yellow orange color that so many buildings are in Rome, and you could smell it starting at 10:30 in the morning, the olive oil and garlic coming out the window. And I guess the first dish that my mind went to is spaghetti alla carbonara, which we didn't have in the United States. And whenever you saw that on any menu, they were using bacon instead of guanciale, and often they were adding things like onions or cream to it, which is ridiculous. But I just love that, and I love the artichokes everywhere. I love the spirit that you stop twice a day to eat. And it's the uplifting spirit of the trattorias. And I love the fact that if there's 2,000 trattorias in Rome, or 3,000 or 4, I don't know what the number is, the menu overlap is about 85%. They're not trying to win you over by having created something you've never heard of before, which is what we often do in the United States. It's not a bad thing that we do it there, but what I love is that they just go more deeply into the same 8 to 12 menu items, the Roman canon, and therefore your favorite trattoria is some combination of the one whose food you love the most, but more importantly, the one that loves you the most. And that's what I learned. That's what I learned from my time in Rome. And that's what I go back for at least once a year to get that touchstone, is that at the end of the day, our restaurants exist to make you feel like you came home, and some combination of coming home and going out. And so, yeah, you touched a nice nerve in me with that question, Diana.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to cry, but you touched a really beautiful nerve in me, because my father, when he retired, fell into the love of cooking, and he ended up really becoming a wonderful cook. And spaghetti carbonara was my go-to dish that he gave me whenever I needed like Papa love. Um, I think you touched on the fact that eating in Europe, and we'll stay with just your connection to Rome, there's such a beautiful thread of simplicity of ingredients, and I say that as a chef, but the intention. I think it's the intention and the passion behind the actual art of eating. It's a gift that they give to all of us that eat in their restaurant, but it's a gift to them of our reaction. And I agree with everything that you just said. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So now we're moving from the past to the present, Danny Meyer. Um, for someone who owns multiple restaurants in New York, I first want to applaud you with full heart for surviving what I believe was the toughest time in restaurant history, at least in New York, with the pivot, the changes, and the losses that I'm talking about during the pandemic. So tell us, Frankie, tell us, Danny, what was your greatest lesson and what was your
Yeah,
greatest mistake?
the great lesson, which is a gift that keeps on giving, is that our industry is the greatest industry I could ever want to be part of because, people talk about how competitive the restaurant industry is, but what they don't necessarily understand is how collaborative and collegial and supportive the restaurant industry is. And so during COVID, when we were all on our knees, basically trying to figure out how to stay in business, and, New York was probably as tough of a city as any in the country for so many reasons. Number one, COVID really hit us hard very, very early before people really knew what it was or what to do about it. And we couldn't do what we do. After 9/11, our industry, I think, was part of the recovery because we provided a place of hope for people to come back to. But we were not allowed to have anyone in our restaurants for months and months. And the biggest lesson I learned is that by banding together with incredibly caring, smart colleagues of every stripe throughout our industry in New York and really across the whole country, we ended up having a collective voice that it didn't end COVID, didn't end the pandemic, but it definitely helped to get through this incredibly tough period. We learned lessons from each other. We used our voices collectively to get government to try to help, sometimes more effectively than others. But so that was the biggest lesson I learned. In terms of mistakes, we made mistakes every day because we didn't have a roadmap for what to do. We made tons of mistakes. Like, the only way we could communicate with our team, many of whom we had to lay off, but we stayed in touch with our team, was via Zoom. And, how do you lay off somebody on a Zoom call when you've never had experience laying off people in your entire career? I think we did some things well. We had a fund called the Hugs Fund, and we got Friends of Union Square Hospitality Group to collectively donate up to $2 million by auctions and stuff like that. We sold gift cards to people where we gave all the money to this fund, and we were able to grant out $2 million to members of our team, which was I think a successful bridge between when they had been laid off and then when federal funding came in with the CARES Act. But we made mistakes every single day, most of which I would file under the category of under-communicating. We tried everything we could to over-communicate, and it was never enough. And people were afraid. And, we were playing without a lot of information. So every time we did communicate, we tried to balance reality, even though we didn't fully understand what tomorrow was going to look like, but with reality and hope. Like, why should you even want to stay in this city? Why should you even want to stay in this industry? And the good news is that here we are 3 years later, and the city's different for sure, but I'm really, really proud of New York City. And I'll go back to the first thing I said. I feel so proud to be a member of the greatest group of business men and women that you can imagine, the restaurant industry.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. An industry that really got probably shattered more than many other industries. An industry that had no roadmap at all. And yet the two things that I believe are the most important components are community and connection. And we didn't have that, or we had to create a different one. So again, I applaud you for the Hug Fund. I applaud you for just navigating through a dark chapter that no one knew what to do, and we're here now. And yeah, my heart ached for all of my restaurant friends and colleagues for what they had to really go through day by day. So I applaud you for that, and your team. So now we move into the future. So what is the future looking like in the industry that we're in, restaurant industry? We are in 2023, where, like you said, the restaurant industry, especially in New York, looks very different. Challenges with staffing, new ways to dine, and that magic word AI. How do all of these elements find a place in the restaurant world? What excites you about the future in the restaurant and hospitality world? And what do you think the next 5 or 10 you can pick? What does it look like here in New York?
I don't have that crystal ball. I'll just share some off the cuff thoughts about it. There's no question that the pandemic accelerated everything. It accelerated restaurants' ability to use technology to, I think, advance hospitality. I think some things are happily going by the wayside, like needing QR codes to order your dinner or your wine. I think that was a good thing for a while when nobody wanted to touch a menu that somebody else had touched. I mean, this all sounds crazy, but that's where we were. We even, yeah. So there's some things that are happily by the wayside, but I also think that when you couldn't go into a restaurant for months, what you could do at least was to dine outdoors, and that saved our industry without any question. I think that the dining sheds that you see all over the city, they kind of cut both ways as far as I'm concerned. Number one is that they saved us, but I also think that they, especially the really old ones that were of the vintage when none of us had a penny to spend on something, because not only did we have no income at that during those months, but we didn't know if the city was going to continue to permit them. So you can see the first vintage, and I think they're unfortunate reminders of a negative time. And I understand where the city is coming from now when they say, look, we're going to make this permanent, but you've got to build these things to a certain standard of safety. And I also understand it, and it's, maybe not in my own self-interest to say this, but I understand if the city's saying, and by the way, we're going to charge you a couple bucks for using our actual streets, which is taking up parking spaces, and it's annoying to other people. We can't have it all. So we'll see where that goes. But so that's going to be part of our future, is outdoor dining in New York, which I think will only get better in time. I think that there's no going back on people's understanding how to order food for delivery. Some restaurants are very, very well set up for that. Some aren't. We have several restaurants that don't do delivery because it just doesn't make sense. At the Modern, Gramercy Tavern, Manhattan, Union Square Cafe. But it makes great sense for a place like Daily Provisions. It makes great sense for a place like Blue Smoke. And I think everybody knows how to use that. And I think, we have apps right now and online ordering that as an industry that we didn't really know what to do with, believe it or not, before the pandemic struck. So the future is going to have more and more of that. But I think it's a serious mistake to think that people are going to stop wanting to go to restaurants, that people are going to stop wanting to be with people, that people are going to stop wanting to have their order taken by a human being, or their wine suggestion conveyed by a human being. So I've always been a big believer that almost all restaurants, especially today, live somewhere on the spectrum of convenience and experience. And there are some restaurants that are 1,000% convenience. That's, I guess that would be an example would be that push a button on your phone and that order gets sent to a ghost kitchen. You have no idea where your food was made. You have no idea who cooked it. You probably will never see the person who delivers it again in your life. They'll never see you again in their life. 100% convenience and no experience. And then there's restaurants that are 100% experience. We've got a couple like that, and they're not convenient. So a restaurant like Manhattan, for example, which is on the 60th floor of a building called 28 Liberty, all the way downtown, it's not convenient. It's not convenient to make a reservation. It's not convenient to get there. It's not convenient to go up a 60-floor elevator. They don't do delivery. They don't have, obviously, outdoor dining on the 60th floor. And yet, the experience is second to none, because I bet you don't have that same view in your living room. And I bet you don't have that same food and that same bar. Those kind of restaurants will continue to exist, all convenience or all experience. But I think the preponderance of restaurants are going to find something in the center where you get both. You get to go out and come home at the same time.
I love that. I love the fact of options. I think that regarding people, I think we need to be around people. I know we got through a period where we lived without that, but I think even when I work at the W and I work in events, the client is so happy to be in a meeting room again and be among people. So I think you're right. I think on both parts. We need both. We need the convenient, but then maybe we need the inconvenient so that we can have that magical moment.
I'll share something briefly that I never, ever would have thought of that's come out of the pandemic. There's no question at all that I think anyone who works in New York in the office space knows that offices don't have nearly the same density that they did beforehand. Sure, there are days of the week when the office is full, and there's days of the week where people are working from home. So what does that mean? That provides other opportunities. It's not that people stop eating, but lunch business in full service restaurants, without any question, is not what it used to be. However, that's being more than made up by this other phenomenon that I never thought I would see, which is that the bars in our restaurants and the seats in our restaurants are filling up as early as 4:30, 5, absolutely at 5:30 at night. That used to be the early bird special for people, who were like 80 years old, who otherwise couldn't digest their food if they didn't eat, before 5 o'clock at night. And now it's people who have had enough of their apartment. They don't need to worry about their boss seeing them leave work early. And so what do? You want to be with people, and you go out early. And that is more than making up for whatever we may have lost during the lunch period.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I do. I think people are running to, we have a restaurant, Gennaro, right by me, and they open up at 4, and people go there for dinner, and they fill up. So I love that. We've shifted and we've made it work for everyone. I know we only have a few minutes left, so I think I'm going to throw one quickie at you. You inspire me so much, and I know you inspire many people. Who inspired you? Like, who's the first one that comes to mind? I know that's tough.
Boy, Diana, that's the hardest thing in the world. Since you just said the first person that comes to my mind, probably my maternal grandfather, who was from Chicago, a guy named Irving Harris, and he, I think that he was a very, very good businessman, but he spent the last probably 40 years of his life thinking about philanthropy more than almost anything else, and specifically with early childhood education and understanding that whatever problems you try to solve later, if you didn't invest in a baby from 0 to 3, you're probably exacerbating anything you're going to try to solve later. So I don't know, I think about him all the time, and I think about what business is capable of in terms of not only the product that it provides, but the potential outcomes for everybody. So he influenced me a lot. And I've got to say that I'll say it again, our industry is the thing that keeps me motivated. People ask me all the time, why do you keep doing this? What is it you're trying to accomplish? I just want to be part of this industry. I love the people who give of their hearts for other people's pleasure and for their communities. And it's inspiring to me beyond anything.
Well, we did it. 11:59. We
Okay.
did it. I'm so grateful for you. I love that your grandfather really thought about the early childhood and the value of that. And I love everything that you said. I'm so grateful. And for anyone on here, stay on so I can do a closing. Danny, thank you, thank
Thank
you,
you,
thank
Diana,
you.
and thanks to everybody who tuned in. Bye.
Yeah, it's a good turnout. All right, bye, Danny. Just hit the X. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, wow, like wow, 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 and thank you to my 9 million followers. I got a lot of new people here. If you don't know who I am, thank you, Joshua. If you want to put in where you're coming in from, I'd appreciate it. My name is Di, Chef Di. I am a chef, and I worked with Danny way back in the dark ages. In 1980, well, a long time ago, was Chef Michael Romano. And I do chatting with Di. I interview people who teach me, inspire me, and make me laugh. Danny definitely does all three. Join me if, follow me if you want to know more about my interviews. But to wrap up, if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. It's a lot more than what you put on a dining room table. It's really a lot about the intention. And I think what I loved about the three questions that I had in the thread of past, present, and future. The past was really about Danny having an opportunity from St. Louis, growing up in St. Louis, but having a father who did work in Europe. He had an opportunity at a young age to find out what it was like to live in a foreign country, a different culture and different food. And at a young age, at 7, he was starting to fall in love with food of France, and then 12, food of Italy, like really falling in love with the intention and understanding the passion behind the food and the restaurateurs and the chefs in Europe and what it means to be, at a table. Um, so he had that at a young age, and he carried that through. I mean, for me, I grew up in Europe, and it had a huge, we need to redefine ourselves after the pandemic. Yeah, we do. There's a lot coming in from Jean-Georges. Ah, love Jean-Georges. Thank you, Joshua. Anyone else want to tell me where they're coming in from or what restaurant they work at? Or their favorite restaurant. We still have 30 people. We were up to 74. Yeah, definitely. Josh, just follow me, and I do it like maybe 2 a month, about 2 a month, maybe 3, depending on what I have going on. What's the title of Danny's book? Setting the Table. Hi, Lancaster, PA. Danny Meyer. It's a great book. I'm trying to find the date. It is a New York Times bestseller. I think it was in 1990. I don't want to spend time looking, but it was not. It's a little bit older. But anyway, I got up to 84. Look at that, Jaja. And then after I did the past question, the whole idea of how did Danny and the team get through the pandemic? And there we go. We have a chef from Milos. How did Milos and Jean-Georges and Danny Meyer get through the pandemic? If you're not in New York, we were hit really badly, and restaurants were shattered, like shattered. Many closed, and they could not recover. If you are from a restaurant, let me know which one you're from. If you have a favorite restaurant in New York, let me know which one. But I wanted to hear what he learned from a time where community and connection were MIA, and what was his greatest mistake, because I always find that we learn, that's how we grow. The more we fall down, the more we figure out how to get up. And Danny fell down a lot during the pandemic. I mean, everyone did. There we go. 4 seasons in New York. Welcome. I know that you had a hard time. I know that you had a really hard time reopening. There's no restaurant or hotel. I work at the W Hotel. There's no restaurant or hotel that did not have a hard time. So I thought it was really important to hear how he navigated. You know, Danny had to let go of a lot of people. A lot of restaurateurs had to let go of a lot of people. And we had to pivot and navigate through a time that there was no roadmap. And we didn't know. We didn't know when it would end. And then the final question, which I always think, past, present, future, what does it look like in the restaurant industry? For anyone that I know or anyone I don't know, a lot of people left our field. A lot of people left. A lot of people did pivot, and they got out. A lot of people left New York. So I love that Danny talked about the outdoor dining. There will be more regulations, and there needs to be. But I love the outdoor dining, and I will not miss the QR code. I'm tired of the QR code. I did have other questions that maybe in another time I can get to with him. I'll just tell you, for my 9 million followers, I wanted to know about mentoring. I think I mentor a lot of young people in the industry that are in the front and the back of the house who are in the fork in the road. I wanted to know what one tip he would tell a young person at the fork in the road. That was number one for bonus question, closing a restaurant. The method around it. He closed Tabla, one of my favorite restaurants, and the late, great chef, Floyd Cardoza, one of our favorite human beings, who we lost in the beginning of the pandemic. He had a whole method about how to close the restaurant. He invited alumni back to cook. He did a job fair for the people so they had an opportunity to learn how to get another job. He did a fundraiser. He did a lot. Thank you very much, Bakeware. Honored to have you here. His mantra was, when you close a restaurant, always close on a high note. Never have any shame. Never have any shame. In fact, the other question, the fourth bonus, which I didn't get to, was about time. I'm fascinated with time. And I always like to learn how he deals with time. A man who's got 9 million emails coming to him at all the time, and people who want him. I had 20 minutes with him. I'm very grateful for that. So I think time is a very good way to end this little chat. I know for me, there's something I learned in an interview about athletes who become entrepreneurs, and that their expertise with moves versus motion. So if you think of a football player, American football, every move they make is a motion to get a touchdown, or I don't know American football, but to get down the field, right, or up the field. Every move they make is calculated to get nearer to their touchdown. So I'm a health coach, and I tell people, tell me your touchdown. Everyone has a touchdown. Maybe someone wants to get married. Maybe someone wants to buy a home, have a baby. Maybe someone wants to train their puppy. Maybe someone wants to build a business. Everyone has a touchdown, right? So wake up in the morning and say, what is your touchdown? And then pick 3 things that you can do. Only 3. We have a to-do list, but only pick 3 that can get you clearer and nearer with real prioritizing to your touchdown. Only 3. I know everyone's to-do list is like that. Make it be 3. And make it be 3 really, really good ones that will make you clear and focused to your touchdown. So, prioritizing really becomes a superpower. And the tool, how do you pick the 3 things, right, to get closer to your finish line or your goal or your touchdown? So I wanted to know from Danny. So my backup was mentoring, closing a restaurant, time, and then I had a round robin. Quality. How did he hire someone? What are the qualities when hiring that you look for? And I know from my cheat notes, he looked for kind eyes, curiosity, worth ethic, empathy, self-awareness, and integrity. Like, what if for all the people that are here, if you own a company or you're in a position that you hire people, what if you applied those qualities when you were hiring? Like, begin with kind eyes, curiosity, worth ethic. I mean, they have to have that. Empathy, self-awareness, and integrity. I love that. I wanted to know who inspired him, and he did say his grandfather, who had a real focus on early education, which I love. I wanted to know his favorite podcast. I wanted to know what he was curious about today. I love curiosity. I wanted to know about the value of community and the bond that we have in restaurants. And I wanted to know about reading the room. Really good one. The value of reading the room and how do you teach that. So I'm going to end on a high note. Thank you to my 9 million followers. If you are working in a restaurant and you want to just put it, everyone say hi to Amore83. Hello, Amore83. I'm about to wrap up. You're going to have to watch the replay because Frankie is about to bark. But if you are in a restaurant, you want to put the name of your restaurant here, then we can all follow you. If you like eating in a restaurant and you want to tell me your favorite restaurant, you can do that. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Di. I do a Chatting with Di series on Instagram, about 2 interviews a month, maybe 3. I interview people who teach me, inspire me, and make me laugh. Danny Meyer is a full circle moment for me. I worked for him many moons ago with Chef Michael Romano. I am a chef. I am now a culinary wellness health coach. And but when you're a chef, you're always a chef. Wait, did I see Nashville? Are you in Nashville? Because I'm going to Nashville, and I need Nashville help. I'm organizing my mother's birthday. If you're in Nashville, Aiden Whittington, can you let me know what restaurant in Nashville? Anyway, I think I've entertained you all enough. I thank you all for coming on. I'm very grateful. Oh, wow. I think yeah, are you the chef there? I will, Aiden, I'll reach out to you. I'm planning my mother's birthday party in October, and we're having a family reunion, and I think your restaurant is one of them on my list of 5. So I will reach out to you after. I thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to let you all go. It's 12:12, and I appreciate you being here. Follow me, DM me if you have any questions, and thank you all. Love you all. I think my puppy might be barking, so I got to go. All right, bye, y'all.